this is the thing, we've got these videos to show you of all four corners of the car. And that's one thing that your shock builder needs to understand too. We talk about 0 point, we talk about numbers, all that stuff. Well, each corner of the car requires a totally different built shock. As you can see, the amount of movement on this shock, it doesn't get a tremendous amount of travel, but it gets a lot of actually short movements.
That shock is getting a lot of high frequency movement, which is the amount of time it goes up and down.
I love watching these videos because, like in that case there, replay that. Watch the spring. That thing actually cams over back and forth being vertical. So that shock really, if you really want to tighten that car up in particular, you can lean that spring in just a little bit and it would really tighten that car up quite a bit. Because it's just up here teetering back and forth. See how it breaks over center on the extension there? It's just right there at the very top where it's tipping back and forth. So if you're in the mud and you get one that is in that position, it'll free a car up.
I work really hard on these videos, so I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. It's always fun watching them. You always see something that you don't really, you're looking for one thing and you'll find another thing.
You can find thousands.
Like our opinion angle.
Yeah.
This is, also look at the pull bar. This is the one that the grease just goes.
All the grease comes out of it. Yeah, see all that dirt already on the shaft on that left rear? I mean, he didn't make it down the straightaway and the shaft was just about covered. There's your grease.
And I've taped it shut before, but then sometimes if you have enough grease in there or too much grease, it just pops it right out of there too. And that's as skinny a slide you can get as IMCA likes, right? Or even it's acceptable.
As you can see, this left front really doesn't get a lot of shaft movement. That's kind of where we talk about that linear valving. It kind of just goes up and down, which the valving is still important, but it doesn't get a tremendous amount of movement. Here's kind of a scenario of 3 different right fronts. This is kind of your old school, just to kind of show you how the front end is predicted. That doesn't have hardly any 0 point. It's pretty much a basic 4-7 type valving that doesn't have anything special built, and that's an actual twin tube shock.
The right front being able to come up and going down the straightaway. That was probably a 600 or 650.
I would say it's a 600.
This was in 2011.
450.
450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. 450. skip 2.
Don't roll this video for video.
Huh?
Don't roll this video for video.
Now, this is a few years back, but it's just got a little bit more control. This is actually your base valve with a bulb shock.
Control line looks better.
So you can kind of see there's quite a bit better control.
Yeah, see that one there, you don't come up quite as far down the straightaway as that other shot did. This one you don't move.
This is your typical tie-down shock. See how it's stuck on the right front? It's got a lot of 0 point built into it, so it keeps the car over on the right front. Really doesn't get off the right front.
This guy was really successful with this shock, but then they got in his head that he can't have that much tie down. And then we took tie down. This was like a 315 with probably 600 pounds of 0 point. That he can't have that much tie down because his chassis builder said he can't have that much tie down. So we took some out, and then he was a 3rd place car. Not saying you have to have tie down, but for that particular driver car track, it was very good.
Yeah, that goes back to that driver builder, shock builder relationship.
Right.
It's because the chassis builder says you can't run it that way, doesn't mean you can.
Shock tuning. First shock that I changed is the right. Did we change these? Yeah, it's different in the book.
The
First shock that I changed is the right front. What's your book say?
I changed it right here first.
That's correct. This has been changed.
Yeah.
First change, I always change the right front. First of all, I'm talking on. I'm focusing on phase 1 of the corner, so I always change the right front first. Because once again, it's a timing device. And so we want to get into the corner, we want to get the car so that it transfers like it was doing it when we were going at more speed so we can get our suspension, and it's all about our dynamic movement and getting the car in a dynamic state as soon as it's possible. The second change I would change would be the right rear.
That's my bad, guys.
This shock tuning goes back to that relationship again, because he's probably going to change something different first, and I know I'm changing something different first than what Bob is. But it goes to whatever package you're working with, total.